Hello, I'm Chris Griffith.
I'm John Butler.
And welcome to this special video podcast, John, we're doing at Southport Central on the motions coming up at the AGM this year. Now, the AGM is on the 31st of October, and we're hoping that everyone can vote for the owners' motions. These are motions put up by owners for the betterment of our community. So we're going to run through what they are. There's a whole heap of them, starting at motion 9 on the voting paper, so that to give you a good idea of what they're about. How do you feel about the election, John?
Well, it's a very important election. There are a lot of issues to be covered, and I'm hoping that owners will vote. 2/3 didn't last year. Don't be one of those.
Yeah, it's really important. There's 789 apartments here, and so we only usually get, about 150 votes coming in. That's not many, considering how important this is and how it can impact both what you pay out in levies and your quality of life if you actually live here. So let's start with the owner motions. They start at motion number 9, and the first motion is probably the most impactful, John. That's the appointment of our body corporate manager. Now, this comes up periodically, and we have two options here: the incumbent, which is CMG, and a new kid on the block, SMG. But there's a big difference between them. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, there's a minor difference really in the cost, in the proposed cost. But one has to remember that the incumbent manager cost us something like $250,000 last year, which is twice what the current quote is. And that's because there are additional services charged all through the year. So don't be misled by the apparent few dollars difference in the two quotes.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I'll probably talk about this a couple of times during our podcast. And that is to actually for owners to get a copy of the roll if they want to talk to other owners like we do with the newsletters. It can cost almost well over $1,000 towards $2,000. It's not illegal that she charges that. She can, but this is actually owners' information being sold back to owners, and that's $1,000. It's a big charge. That's the sort of thing that I think that we shouldn't be having to deal with. But yeah, there's a lot of add-on extras that makes her company more expensive than just in the quote here.
That's the way it is, yes.
Now, there is a difference too in the two businesses. CMG is a very small family business. They have a couple of body corporates, whereas SMG, which doesn't cost too much more, as John says, is a larger organisation that's got expertise not only in body corporate matters, but in things like work cover and insurance. And they run a portal so we can actually see the accounts. So we get a lot more bang for our buck, wouldn't we, going with SMG?
Absolutely. SMG proposed, for example, to put all our records on the portal. So wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to access, you'll be able to know without a charge how much is being spent, what it's being spent on, and why.
So what it means at the end of the day is in item number 9, in 9.1, you vote no to CMG, and in 9.2, you vote yes to SMG. And I agree with John. I think we'd get, even though it's a little bit more, we know that the incumbent has a lot of extra charges that are levied during the year. And with SMG, we'll have a lot more expertise, get more bang for our buck, and hopefully that means that we actually save money,
Yes, hopefully we do, because if you look at the accounts for this year in the AGM papers, you'll find that everything's in the red, and that's a real concern.
Okay, well, let's move on to motion 10. Now, this is an interesting one too, that the body corporate relocate the records inspection room to a suitable safe space within the scheme that complies with health and safety standards. Now, I had an experience of this one too. When you go and look at body corporate records, they usually set up a room like the list of owners, and you go in there. Here they use surveillance cameras, and they use that because they're wanting to make sure you don't actually use a USB to copy the data that they want to sell you.
Can't copy.
But when we went there a couple of times, they decided to move it to the level 6 car park in a little storeroom. Now that storeroom's full of boxes. I've seen evidence of a couple of spiders there, a couple of webs, and it's musty and dirty, like I think because of the accumulation of all the exhaust smoke that might come in when the doors open. But you touch the desk there and there's a bit of dust on it. We just think it's not really suitable, and they've got to treat us like, decent human beings. And there is the room on tower 2, that can be used for inspections. There's other places. We just think it should be in a better place.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's intended to discourage you from looking at the records, but it certainly has that effect.
I would hate to think that it is. But anyway, at the end of the day, we'd like to have a better location for owners inspecting the documents from the body corporate. And that brings us to number 11, the garden, level 3. You might go out on level 3 for a swim or in the sauna, and we have a garden there that's been undergoing some sort of changes. But we think that it's not like it was originally. It needs a bit of work. And so this motion that the body corporate extend the engagement of a qualified landscapers engaged by the committee to develop a detailed and comprehensive plan for the garden area forward of the indoor pool. Do you agree? It kind of needs a bit of a...
Absolutely. It's been a shambles there for, over a year now.
They've taken the deck out. There's been 2 lots of decks put in and removed, and they're actually going to put more garden in there, aren't they?
Well, we think they are, but we have no plan. We don't really know. We have a gardener who has apparently no horticultural qualifications, so who knows what we're going to get.
So anyway, it helps us as owners if you're going to sell eventually and the prospective owners have a look at level 3. If it looks really good, it's going to really, encourage them to buy. And that's going to be good for the values of our property,
Absolutely.
As well as for our own enjoyment. Let's not forget that.
When I first came here, I was taken down to level 3. I looked at the lush gardens, the pools, and I thought, I've got to live here. But it's not the same now.
Okay, let's move to motion 12, appointment of a returning officer. Now, we don't have a returning officer here for our elections, but why would we want one?
To be sure that our elections are fair and equitable. A returning officer will be a completely independent person, not an employee of the body corporate manager as it is now, and we can be sure that things are being done properly. We have in the past seen voting papers that were filled in by a third party and signed by an owner. That's just not lawful.
Yeah, so it's going to cost a little bit, but the point is that we want our elections here we want to know that our elections here are being run properly in the voting process leading up to those elections. So that's the reason for number 12.
I understand that the person who currently collects all the votes and counts them and displays them at the meeting is paid anyway.
Right, so it would just be a more independent person.
Absolutely.
Okay. Number 13, solar power in the level 3 area. We have lots of sunshine here in Queensland, and it seems like a way to cut our electricity costs is to go with some solar panels, heaps of sunlight coming in, and while there's initial cost with solar panels, there is a long-term saving in power. What do you think?
It's important to note here, absolutely I agree with you, but it's important to note here that in this motion, this is not going to cost us anything. This is an investigation to find out the cost benefit of doing it and how we can do it. But it's not going to cost the body corporate any money to find out.
Okay, well that's great. Well, I mean, it sounds to me there's nothing to lose by having a bit of an investigation to see
Absolutely not.
see what the final cost would be, and also what our potential saving would be. So that's motion 13. It seems a winner, doesn't it? Really?
Oh, how could you not vote yes for that?
Yeah. Okay, so we move on now to the next motion, which is 14, the general ledger. Now, this needs a little bit of explanation. You'll notice that in the annual papers that we have, there is some accounts there, but the thing is that during the whole year, we don't have access to see how the money is being spent, and we don't have it to be able to match it against invoices as a kind of check and balance that money is being used carefully, and we know who it's going to, and we know it's for a good cause. We're in the real dark here because the general ledger used to be available for us to look at through the portal here on the body corporate, but that was withdrawn in reasonably controversial circumstances. But at the end of the day, we're in the dark. We want that reversed so that we can see how money is being spent, and again, the potential is we save money. What do you think?
Absolutely. Again, part of the problem is that in the AGM papers, we get headlines as to where the money went, but we don't know who it went to, we don't know why it went, we don't know what the amounts are. We used to be able to see all that online, but it was taken away so that we can't see it.
Yeah, there have been occasions where we've seen line items in the annual accounts that come from nowhere. You know,
we've no idea.
a one-off expenses for say 70, 80,000 or something, and we just don't know where that was actually spent on. So that's number 14. Number 15 is electronic voting, that we're saying it would be much better if we could use what is a well established electronic voting system for body corporates rather than the paper version, although if you really, really don't like electronic voting, you'd still be able to put in a paper vote. And there's a serious reason for this, because you've got to get the AGM papers, and if you want to vote, either print them all out and pull out the voting slip that's in there, which is a few pages, or you've got to have the skills to copy them from a PDF, those pages, and then print them, and then fill them in, and then scan them, and then email them. Now, that is the voting process here. And John, I think that's one of the main reasons people don't vote. It's just a real bummer, really.
Yeah, it's just too much trouble. I had to go through that yesterday to lodge an insurance claim, and it's a tedious process, and it just takes time, and people say, I can't be bothered.
And so, again, it's important for our democracy here, and it's important in an accessibility sense because a lot of owners don't know how to pull apart PDFs and rescan them, and you've got to go through all that rigmarole, and it really is disempowering, if I could use that word.
Yeah, with electronic voting, you just tick some boxes on your screen and press a button, it's done.
Okay, so that's electronic voting. Now we come to the very interesting issue here of what's called CTS 35751, which is the 4 apartments here that the Body Corporate Committee actually ended up buying indirectly through a company they set up. Now, this is very complicated, but at the end of the day, we have a company here that is basically operated by the chairman of the Body Corporate, and the manager, I think, has a role there, that separately owns 4 of the apartments here. And John, has got a very interesting issue because this whole setup was knocked down by an adjudicator, the Body Corporate. The adjudicator said that this wasn't it was a questionable practice, and the apartment should be actually sold. But that's not what today's motion is about. Today's motion is to get an understanding of their intentions with these apartments. Very simple motion to see under what circumstances they would sell because the market's up, which is a good thing. But we don't really know much about how these apartments are being managed. And we don't really have any entitlement legally because it's a separate organisation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real worry, you know. The chairperson of the Body Corporate Committee is the sole director of an investment company, a private company that he owns and he runs with the assistance of the current Body Corporate manager, who is the secretary of that company. Now, I've heard the secretary of the Body Corporate Committee quoted as saying the Body Corporate owns the apartments, but it doesn't.
It's not allowed to by law.
It's not allowed to. No.
That's why this company's here, because they set a company up, it owns the apartments, it issues shares back to the Body Corporate. So we've got shares in a company that owns the apartments. But I think because if they try to own it directly, if the Body Corporate owned it directly, it'd be contrary to law here in Queensland. So they've done it that way. It's very roundabout, very marginal in I guess I could use that word. But we think we need to have a much better handle on the policy of what they're going to do. You know, what are the conditions that they'd sell in? Are they considering selling because the market's up? Because it is a separate company, we don't really have the same entitlements as under Body Corporate law to look at the details thereof.
We have no rights whatsoever. It's a private company owned and run by the chairperson of the Body Corporate Committee. He has no obligation to give us any information at all, but the apartments were purchased with our money.
Yeah, okay. We do get table scraps of information, but not an awful lot.
Nothing meaningful.
Okay. Next one is a really important one. It's on quoting. Now, you know how the markets work. If you get 2 or 3 quotes for a job, it's competitive, you're likely to get the best deal. Now, we've seen instances here where the Body Corporate doesn't proactively go out and seek separate quotes. And one of these examples is, importantly, insurance, because the premiums are over $1 million to start with.
$1.25 million
Yeah.
in the papers this year.
And so what they do is they use a broker called Body Corporate Brokers, and it goes out to the market, and you'll see that the insurance that is offered here has a few different insurers in part. Now, that might be all right, except that Body Corporate Brokers itself was subject to an episode of Four Corners, ABC, about the fact that they weren't necessarily getting the best insurers from the market. They're providing the cheapest prices in the quotes that they gave Body Corporates. They're a big organisation, BCB. They were using basically insurers that were either in-house or they had long-term relations with. So our view is that we need to go out with things like insurance where the amounts, the premiums are in the millions, and should independently assess what's available in the market, get the best deal, and that again will save owners considerable money. I might just say one thing about BCB on Four Corners, and we can probably resurrect a copy of that Four Corners for owners. Was also claimed by Four Corners that they gave commissions to committees and owners that actually contracted them. Our Body Corporate is adamant that they have not received those, but you know it does cast a bit of concern about their operation, doesn't it?
Yes, well, Four Corners also said that the commissions weren't paid as commissions, they were paid into a private organisation of which Body Corporate managers were members. So there was no way it could be called a commission.
Right, okay, but anyway, we actually use this broker ourselves, which is what I think our concern is. So we think that we should be going, we can keep using them, but we should be looking at other options in the market to make sure we get the best deal, not just trusting them year in, year out to be the best deal.
I think it's clear, if you're going to buy something for $1.25 million, you get more than one quote. Go and ask a couple of other brokers who will probably deal with other insurance companies. We don't know if we're getting the best deal. That's a lot of money to be spending when you don't know if it's the best way to go.
And if you save 1% of
$1.25 million.
millions,
That's
a
lot
bit
of
of
money.
it'd buy you a lot of cappuccinos in Scarborough Street, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to sleep at night with the amount of cappuccinos you'd have. Anyway, getting on to the next one, the sinking fund core forecast, and this is another really important motion. Now, a sinking fund is the fund that we have when we put money away for maintenance and so on. And a forecast is a document that body corporates, usually particularly large ones like us, routinely get, like every year or every couple of years, that are done by experts that list what maintenance is required, and they put a schedule of what the body corporate fees will be so that we can meet those requirements. We had this sinking fund forecast report up until 2018, and then they dropped getting it. So we are actually technically in the dark as to how much maintenance we need and what the cost will be. Now, the body corporate has told us that they have a separate arrangement here to get maintenance done, and they do maintenance. I mean, I've seen the maintenance going on, but the fact is we don't know whether all the items that need to be maintained are being maintained properly. And importantly, if we have a 15-year forecast for body corporate levies, they tend to go up just little bit by little bit rather than like a big jump that we're seeing this year, up to about 60% in for the next two levies from February.
It's a lot, yes.
Yeah. So it makes levies do go up, but they go up slowly, and they're designed to actually meet the needs of maintenance here, which is considerable with our 9 lifts between three towers, and so everything we know what's really going on the maintenance front, and we've seen examples here where maintenance hasn't been done properly, like a lot of rust around the place, including the alcove area leading to your tower 2 from the level 3.
That's right, and the rust has just been painted over. It hasn't been treated,
Yeah.
it's just painted over.
And the risk there is you'd have to replace the whole structure, and it's starting to look like that because the rust is really ingrained in that structure.
Oh, within days of painting some of the rust was showing through again.
Yeah,
That's
it
no
does.
way to
It shows
maintain
through,
property.
and you can see with the paint the gloss around it, and then the area where the rust is more matte looking.
Yeah.
So it's pretty deep, and it hasn't been removed, which is what you're supposed to do. Remove the rust before you put rust preventer and then paint, but that doesn't seem to be happening at all.
We don't have a proper maintenance plan. We don't know how much the maintenance is going to cost. And suddenly our levies are going up because we presumably have a problem.
Yeah, and we don't know why they're jumping up and then they're jumping back a bit, but they're going over the place.
Yeah.
The next one, I think everyone would understand, and that is the slippiness a bit around the pool deck, particularly when it's wet. We don't want to have an accident there. We don't want to see anyone hurt. We don't want the financial liability, dare I say,
We don't
as
want to be
well.
sued.
So that motion is that the committee engage a qualified accredited firm to conduct slip tests in accordance with current Australian standards of all tiled pedestrian services across the level 3 pool deck, including the indoor pool area. And that is a real safety issue which we should address for the reasons that we've just talked about.
Yeah, at the moment, the situation is the committee says the gardener has a look every now and then to see what he thinks. That's just not good enough.
Okay, that was motion 19. Now number 20, which is talking about traffic calming measures in basement car parks. One of our owners has put this up because there's an issue, I guess, of people driving pretty quickly down there, particularly.
It can be very dangerous. I nearly had someone run into me 2 days ago, went through 4 stop signs, all at the same place, straight through.
Yeah, and this one is not going to cost as much. It's going to cost, according to the quote for this, is $800.
Yeah, it's not much.
I mean, really, you just have one accident down there, and it's well above $800.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that. And I've actually the other issue there is that you can tend to be driving down there, and you've got someone coming the other way. There's a two-way strip there, and sometimes they come pretty close.
Yes. There's not a lot of room sometimes.
And everyone seems to have a big four-wheel drives down that as well.
Interestingly, the owner who put that motion on the papers included some graphics, some illustrations to show owners what he's talking about, to make it easier for you to vote, but they weren't published. We don't know why.
Yeah, but anyway, $800 is all it takes. Okay, going on to motion 21, we're going back to those 4 apartments that we talked about again.
Yes.
One of our owners has put up a motion wanting more specific details about its operation. As we said, we're left in the dark as to how it operates, and importantly, there's a number of quite mysterious accounting amounts from that.
It's all very mysterious.
Yeah.
We hold shares in the chairperson's company, and we should be getting dividends. But last year, and I see in the papers again this year, last year we received $70,000. The chairperson indicated verbally that was for management services. Now those apartments are managed by a professional management firm, letting agents, but somehow the company chose to pay us $70,000 for additional management services. We've no idea what they are. We would like to find out, and we'd like to be quite sure that it's not a tax dodge.
Yeah, I mean, this is about probity of our accounting procedures, but it's true that we have Mantra here that actually look after the apartments. They're the in-house or preferred manager of that. And they've been letting these apartments, and that's included in the accounts. But then we have, for a company that doesn't do much else other than that at the moment, this big fee of $70,000 for management services. We want to get to the bottom of what's actually going on, and that's the point of motion 21.
Yeah. Who did what for $70,000? That year, that was roughly an annual salary, average annual salary in Australia. That's a lot of work. Who did what? What was their expertise? Why?
And number 22, I think, will hit a vibe with a lot of people. It's about smoking.
Yes.
We have prohibition on smoking and vaping in areas like the common property areas, the pool, gymnasium, parking spaces, and on balconies. Because on balconies with the wind, of course, you can get a whiff of tobacco or other substances.
More than a whiff. Yeah,
and
the other substances.
So we want this firmed up, the person who proposed this motion firmed up, so it's very clear about a prohibition of smoking within areas other than, I guess, inside your apartment itself.
Yeah, the reality is that people smoke on balconies so they don't smoke in their own apartment and make their apartment smell. But as you said, Chris, the wind quickly blows cigarette smoke into adjoining apartments. So those apartments smell. So it really needs to be put to a stop.
So they're the motions that we as owners are putting up, and there's been a number of different people who have proposed these. We've just collated them here. I hope you can see that they're commonsensical things. They're not really, we're not trying to, it's not a revolution that we're trying to...
Nothing radical about any of it. It's
nothing. They're just
for the benefit of owners.
Yeah, just for the benefit of people here. So that's from motion 9 to 22. If you can just go yes for all of them, that'd be great. If you go on the Facebook group, there's links to further explanations. We'll probably also send those links around in a newsletter. So if you want to even dig deeper into these motions, you can. And we'll just mention it in passing that at the AGM, we don't just vote for those motions, however, we also vote for a new body corporate committee. And our group here are putting up 4 people. John is one, I'm one, and we have Bella Aiden and Jimmy Gia are the other two. And John, you know, you have a fantastic background. Now, you've been basically a city planner for around the world, haven't you?
Yes, that's correct, yes. I've had a lot of experience in body corporate type organisations as well as body corporates. And I've been all over the world giving papers at conferences. I've represented Australia at a World Health Organisation seminar. I've been around a bit.
And my background is mainly computers. I've done a computer science degree. I've taught computer awareness way back in the 1970s when we had mainframe computers.
They were big ones then.
They were big. They took up the whole...
Took up the whole building, yes.
Floor at least. And ran a business around personal computers, making them networked. Actually wrote a body corporate management package that was used by body corporate services and managed 12,000 apartments. It's just totally coincidence, but that was in the 1980s. So I've seen how management works, and I had to learn double entry bookkeeping, which was...
I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, but I did. And then of recent times, I've been a journalist for about 30 years, and the Australian senior tech writer for over a decade before I came into this semi-retirement phase, this semi-inspirement phase, as we call it. But anyway, thank you. If you're watching through to the end of this video, well then, well done for you. And I hope that we've provided you with some good information. Now, just before I forget, on those 4 people that we're putting up, that won't change totally the whole body corporate committee, but so it's not like we're trying to, you know, have massive reform of it, but putting 4 people on it out of a dozen or so, I think, means that you'll have a better voice and a better understanding of what's going on. That's what we're trying to do.
People who will make sure you're getting the best deal possible, your investment is protected.
All right, on that note, thank you very much, and we may do this again. It's fun, isn't it?
Yes. Please vote and vote yes.
Please vote yes to everything except 9-1, I think was.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay, bye for now. Bye-bye.